We are back with another Armfighter report. It's Monday, October 9th, 2023, and today I get to talk to one of the best arm wrestlers in the country, Adam Wawrzynski. Adam, first off, did I butcher that name?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. It's a lot easier to say than it is to read it when you look at it. It's Wawrzynski. Just forget the second W. It's like it's not there.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So Wawrzynski.
yeah, man.
That's actually pretty easy. That's where Warzone comes from, I assume.
It's a lot easier to say Warzone and sounds a lot better. So we'll just go with that.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. We got a huge round robin coming up. It's 12 of the top 200-pound pullers in the country. Of course, you were invited, and you're considered one of the favorites. Do you feel like that's the case, or do you see yourself as an underdog to anybody?
No, I personally, I don't see myself as a favorite. I think, and I say this every time I compete, but this has to be this has to be the largest test of my career right here. I mean, just overall, when you look at every factor, versatility, endurance, skill sets, ability to adapt, there's 11 matches, you know what I mean? And nobody, and I mean not one person on this card is a slouch or a bye match or take it easy match or don't worry about this guy. I mean, everybody is dangerous. Everybody. And the people that you really got to watch out for are the ones that may not feel the pressure. That might be a little bit lower on those rankings, or maybe they haven't got out as much. They're a lot hungrier. I've been in that spot before. They're really hungry, and they got that feeling almost like almost like they got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say it that way because everybody in there deserves to be there and has high accolades and has won a lot. But those guys know who they are, and yeah, less pressure. I mean, those are the guys that are going to be the most dangerous. I mean, you could talk about the guys that have been active and pulling at the high level promotions and have, I mean, we all know who they are, but everybody's dangerous. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, there's not one person on this card that I overlook, and I definitely don't see myself as a favorite. I mean, just going off of my match history, typically I get into my groove about match 2, match 3 in a super match, but you don't get that here. You get one match every guy. So this is going to be a tough event.
So have you looked at the layout of the matches and kind of decided your layout, like what you're going to do? Any kind of game plan based on that?
Yeah. For me, it's more so getting in the groove. I know by match 3, even match 4, I'll be good. I'm one of those guys. I got to warm up a lot. I got to feel some tension. I need to get a few matches under my belt before I start really rocking and rolling. So my game plan, I mean, I can sit here and say, well, I'm going to hook, I'm going to top roll, I'm going to feel so-and-so a little bit differently, I'm going to exploit some angles. But in my experience, at least for me, it's almost like overthinking it. You know what I mean? Because when you think so hard about what you're going to do for every single guy, and then you get up there and you feel something completely different, then it's like, okay, now I'm trying to think in my head, where am I going to go? How am I going to adjust? It's better for me to just know where I'm at, know what lanes I'm good at, simplify it. When you get up there, feel every individual, pick a lane and go. And that's going to be my game plan. But like I said, more so just making sure that I'm ready to rock and roll for match 1. And, I'm not taking a few matches to get where I need to be. That's my biggest game plan.
Yeah, you got a lot of matches in line, so it's hard to warm up too much before you jump in. But to say that you need a few matches to get going is interesting because you get thrown straight into the fire right off the tops. I mean, It's you and Merlot
Mhm.
first, and you got Toulier followed up with that. I mean, those are some matches that everybody wants to see anyway. It
Right.
it just kind of it's interesting that you say you have to warm up because now does that give them an advantage because they drew you early as opposed to drawing you later?
I mean, I think so. I mean, it just that's what I mean. I wouldn't be so much. I would feel a lot more comfortable pulling those guys later on than in the beginning. But like I said at first, there's no slouch in this round robin. There's no good first match, second match. Like everybody's good. So it really doesn't matter where you get drawn. I mean, yes, I would say Jason and Craig are in that top tier amongst that 12. But there ain't no telling. I mean, there's really no good first match. I've pulled well, I mean, I've pulled a lot of people that are going to be there. There's a lot I haven't pulled, but
About half and half, or who have you actually matched up with in a competition setting?
yeah. So I'm thinking because there's been some, there's been some substitutions. I've pulled I've pulled Casey. I've gripped up with Artem. I've never actually pulled him. I've pulled Robbie a lot. He and I are, we go pretty familiar. Um, I'm like blanking out on everybody. Who I was going to say I pulled Dallas, but he's out. I've pulled Chad, but he's out. I have not pulled Eduardo. I've never pulled Jason. I've never pulled Lewis, the substitution. I have pulled, oh gosh, I'm thinking Logston, Stephen Logston. I have pulled him. Who am I missing? Name off some names. Who am I missing?
Eli,
Here?
Eduardo,
Never pulled. Never pulled Eli. No, I've never pulled Eduardo. I've never pulled Eduardo. So yeah, I guess there's a lot of guys on the list that I haven't pulled. These are those two substitutions. So it's going to be interesting. All guys I'm familiar with. I mean, I've seen. I've followed Jason since. I mean, he's been to plenty of competitions I've been to. I followed Eduardo. I mean, Craig. I've never pulled Craig. I've never gripped up with Craig. But of course, I mean, I grew up watching Craig. I mean, Game of Arms is a show that got me into arm wrestling. Of course, he was big on that show, so I watched him. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting mix. It's gonna be an interesting day. I'm excited for it though. It's a big one.
did you say you did pull Merlot?
No, I haven't.
Are you guys just
I've,
normally in separate classes? You just said you met up with him quite a bit, or you see him around. So just curious why you haven't met up yet.
yeah, I'm trying to think actually what we were at Well, we pulled the same weight class at IFA Worlds in 2021, and I just never saw him. I placed fourth lefty and fifth righty maybe, and I got knocked out by Brent Rockers and Andre Shark, both arms, both days. So I never got to see Jason. And then I feel like there was one other competition that maybe we were both at, and it was like a weight class discrepancy. We weren't in the same class, but I've watched him. I've known of him for a long time, and he's extremely dangerous. And he's always impressive. He's never not impressed me when I watched him pull. He's never not impressed me.
Right. Recently as well, he just had a very impressive match at that Knuckles Up tournament. You've been on
Yeah.
the world stage because you had the East West, right? The East versus West match. So how do you think that the world side of it, if you go east, how does that compare to U.S. polling? Is it any different? Even though it's, I guess, a U.S. promotion, is it any different the talent level over there? Can you tell?
Well, in general, yes. I mean, it's really only fair for me to assess kind of my weight division, so I'll just stick with that. Yeah, those guys. I mean, and truthfully, the only guy that I've ever pulled over there that has been truly 95 kilo, my weight has been Bacho. And I mean, you saw that. I mean, kid just ran through me. Speed and strength were unreal. So, I mean, I pulled Bozadar, but that was at 92 kilos. But again, he was more like 85. And Arthur, how he was only 75 kilos, I have no idea, but I saw him step on the scale and I can confirm that he was 75 kilograms. The match was at 85. And even just those guys, yeah, I mean, I think it's just more, I mean, it's just a different lifestyle over there, right? Like Europeans, a lot of Europeans are arm wrestling for income. And it's their lifestyle. It's what they do. They might have, a separate gig or whatever, but arm wrestling, they grow up arm wrestling. It's in schools. They're training all the time. They're amongst each other, right? Like the best Georgians are all training together. The best Bulgarians, everybody. So the what would you say? Arm wrestlers per capita training team are higher. Whereas, for our guys, okay, you got a top dog in this state, in this state, in this state, and it's the top dogs aren't together training together. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's so yeah, it's a lot different. And their economy over there, their lifestyle allows them to do that. It's not like they're over there making millions and millions of dollars. Like it would if you were to have to quit your job and arm wrestle here, how much money would you have to make? I mean, what, 100,000 or whatever, 60,000 at least, right? Like a salary. Well, those guys over there, that's because the cost of living over here is that much, right? You need, you need somewhere to live, you need a car, you need necessities. Over there, it's not like that. Their cost of living isn't as high as it is over here. And I don't know all the details that go into that. But what I'm trying to say is it allows them to put full commitment, full time into arm wrestling, not just going to the gym for an hour and a half after work, practicing once, a week on the weekends or whatever, like a very dedicated arm wrestler would be over here. It's like a job 24/7. And so, yes, of course, the talent level is much better. And it's not like those guys are much stronger. It's not like, okay, there is a legitimate 35% strength gap. I don't think that's the case. I think the speed, the timing, the skill sets, the versatility, all of that, I think it all play, and it makes it look much worse.
They're just
better. I don't think strength. Yeah, they're just better, right? Just all around, they're just better, and for the reasons that I've mentioned. The arm wrestling is it's different over there. It's like a collegiate sport, like a Division I collegiate sport. It's what they're doing 24/7, pretty much. I mean, they might be doing, little things here and there on the side or whatever, but arm wrestling's the real deal over there. So there's your answer.
Do you think being over there and competing on that stage gives you any type of advantage, or does it help you over here when you do an event like this that's, basically the U.S. elite?
Does it? I mean, look, from a non-biased perspective, just looking at it, does it help me? No. I think it might. I mean, what? I've pulled 3 matches over there. One got smashed. What, other than experience, what did I truly gain? Maybe a little bit of confidence, but I think if anything, it puts a bigger target on my back. I've went over there. I've been somewhat successful, and now it seems like everybody's elevated me to this level that, that maybe I'm not even truly at. And I'm not saying that that's true, but it's what it feels like. It feels like my standard has now just been raised really high because I have been over there and I have succeeded some. So now everybody's, comparing themselves. You understand? The standards
Mm-hmm.
raised. I feel like the target got larger ever since I went over there. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even like going to. I used to go to local tournaments all the time, just because I wouldn't stop training for them. I wouldn't say, okay, this is what I'm focusing on this year. I would just go because I love arm wrestling. I'd love to go pull typically I don't even enter my weight class, right? I'll pull, a 220, a 240, or even a supers, and maybe even all three, just for fun, just to do it, just to stay active. And now I don't even feel like I can do that anymore because, I mean, God forbid somebody gets a win on me or a stop or anything. It's like it's used against me. You know what I mean? And so it's a give take, right? You get to a certain level, you get those opportunities, and there's nothing special about me. I've always told everybody that for every one of me, there's 30 more guys that can do what I've done, or even better. I was just fortunate enough to get that opportunity. So yeah, it's a give take. I mean, you go over there, you do well. Everybody wants to get to that level. Everybody dreams of that. But then what I truly loved about arm wrestling, a part of that I feel like has been kind of taken away. So does it give me an advantage? No, I just think it puts a bigger target on my back.
It's interesting that you say that. I've never really looked at it that way. But I guess the level's not that different between that world level and your top 10 in America. I guess everybody's kind of close. The gap's a little closer than everybody assumes. Is kind of what you're saying.
Right, and also like you have to remember, arm wrestling is a very complex sport. Just because A beats B and B beats C doesn't mean, A beats C or whatever. Like, I mean, for instance, every time Robbie Russell and I have pulled, we have wars. Okay. And just because I go over there and get a win on, I don't know, Bojidar or Arthur, you can't make that comparison and say, well, Robbie and that guy would be a good match. They might, but they also might not. So I mean, for instance, let's just say, I mean, theoretically, let's just say like he or anyone else that I've had a good match with will go over there and pull the same guy and they get beat. Does that mean that, what does that mean? You can't draw conclusions like that. It's little things that might make the difference. I mean, there's some guys over here that might even be stronger than me, but could they go over there and get a win on one of those Europeans? Well, there's a lot of other factors that go into that. It's not just strength. So yeah, just skill set altogether. Like I said, for one of me, Robbie's a great example. I mean, there's 25 other guys that could do the same thing on any given day. So that have the ability. Sorry, I shouldn't say it. Said that have the ability to do the same thing. It's just a matter of, honing in skill set and getting the mind where it needs to be and being able to perform at that level. Lots of people have the ability over here, but that's the next step up, being able to take the ability that you have and perform at that level.
Well, when I saw you stonewall Brent Rockers over here, that to me put you on a different level, more so than just being on an East-West card. So I know that the MMA math doesn't hold up, but you did something to him that I haven't seen anybody do. So that was quite impressive. So I just assumed that put you on that world level, and then you were all the way up there.
Well, so that was a great win, and a lot of people reference back to that. And I mean, humbly, I'll say, let's just put it this way: if I had to pull Brent Rockers tomorrow, I'd be very fearful. I don't know if I could do that again. I'm just being honest. I mean, everybody seems to think that I'm levels and levels above Brent, and well, that day I was, but that doesn't mean that in a year or 2 years it's still gonna. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just being realistic.
hey,
Brent's
that
an
was
awesome
the day you
puller. He's a
needed to
great
be.
guy, and he's super. That was the day I needed to be. Right, I was on that day. Great, I'll take that for that day. But I'm not going to sit here and toot my horn and say, well, I smashed Brent. He's here and I'm here now, and until otherwise, no. I mean, I'd be very fearful if I had to pull him tomorrow. I would be. Honest truth.
Well, we're only a couple weeks out, so I would assume that your training is leveled out, or you're probably close to complete, if not complete already. But did you do anything different because of the stamina factor, or did you just train as normal coming up to this event?
Yeah. So, I mean, typically in my normal training, stamina is just a part of it. I'm always supersetting. I'm not taking much time in between sets. So I really didn't train any more for stamina because That's something I feel like I already have. What I did do is train a lot to be faster and more explosive because at the end of the day, I don't think there's any amount of stamina you can pull together to sit there in 11 wars. I would personally not prefer not to be in 11 wars. If I can get, if I can win some matches fast and be explosive and take a little bit of mileage off my arm, I think that's what's going to make or break any given person's ability to win this thing. So, yes, I've trained a lot for that. I've done some. I have quite a few spring handles in here. I've got one from Arm Assassin and one from Saban Bataluscu, the kind of original spring hand, and a lot of band tension. And my team, Carolina Chaos, is once again amazing. I give them all the credit for this, especially Matt Harris. He's been working with me, and we've been doing a lot of band training. And it's been great. I feel like it has helped my speed and explosivity, but we'll find out in 2 weeks.
How big of a team is that Carolina Chaos, and how big of practices do you get when you guys get together, and how often do you do that?
Oh, well, that I could talk about Carolina Chaos forever. So, yeah, a lot of people know. If you don't know, I'll kind of give you a little bit of history. So, Carolina Chaos was established by Chad Silvers back in the '80s, I believe 1987 or 1988, and those guys have been training in Spartanburg, South Carolina since then. And they used to get together on Wednesdays and Sundays. Now it's just Sundays. And we have a good crowd. We have about 13 guys on the team, and probably another 10 to 12 that on any given Sunday might come and train. And when you talk about just a complete team, there is truly, I don't believe there's any other in the nation like us. I mean, you got, as far as talent level and guys that are truly committed to each other. I mean, everybody on that team is going to practice for the next guy. They're not going for themselves. And in turn, the entire team benefits. And it's a true example of how iron sharpens iron. But yeah, that team's amazing. I mean, I forget, what was the other question? I feel like there was one other question you asked.
How often did your training, like how often are you guys getting together to actually pull on a table? And when you do show up, how many of the guys are coming at one time?
Oh, well, once a week, and we have a great attendance rate, probably. I mean, I'm not going to say 100, but 90, 95%.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
20 guys, 30 guys?
Oh, yeah, like I said, there's about 13 members, and we got another anywhere from 10 to 15 that might show up and train. So, I mean, we'll always have those 13 guys that come and practice. And, you know, on a normal Sunday. And then, yeah, I mean, it depends with other guys. You know, I mean, sometimes we get 10 other guys. We've had up to 15 show up before on top of that. So yeah, it's a big practice, and there's a lot of talent. You want strength, you want speed, you want explosivity, you want wisdom, whatever you want, we got a guy that can give it to you. And yeah, it's a great practice. Those guys have literally made me. I would not be anywhere where I am today without that team.
Do you taper those practices at all, or do you go all out like 100% at each one every week? Are you able to pull every week, or do you kind of go
yeah,
50% one week?
Well, yeah, I mean, we pull hard every week. Everything's a match style setting. We're not really slow pullers. We don't start in a position and go. Everything's all right, straight, boom, elbow down, ready to go. And yeah, I mean, up to match time, it's on a match by match basis, kind of how you feel. Me personally, I get beat up a lot of times because I'm pulling a lot. Hardly ever am I getting off the table in that 2.5, 3 hour window. So yes, for me, those last two practices leading up, I won't grind as hard. I'll get a lot more starts and ready goes. But you know, I won't. If the match stops, I won't hold on a lot, just to kind of let my elbow heal up a little bit and get right for whatever competition I'm preparing for. So yeah, we'll taper off, but I mean, it's a huge practice, and it's not like everybody's competing at the same time. So everybody's always pulling hard.
So you'll practice the week before the event still. Just you'll go light, but you'll still be on a table.
So, well, I take it back. Sometimes I have. Yeah. Lately, no. I take at least that one Sunday off. So like yesterday would have been my last practice. I won't practice next week.
Gotcha.
But I'll
That's a
still
lot
gym
of
train.
pulling. Do you also then do gym work and supplement weights in there too?
Oh yeah, this is it.
Good
Take you
Lord.
on a little tour. I got dumbbells, ropes, everything, man. Cable machine. This table is built with like 2-inch bar stock and stainless steel legs. It's just insanity. Yeah, I mean, I'm in here. This is kind of where I train, my cave. Um, yeah, I'm in here. I'm in here like I'm literally in here 7 days a week. Am I working out 7 days a week? No, but I'm in here doing something. I mean, usually twice a day. I mean, I get in here in the morning. I'll do a little bit of wrist, just light stuff, kind of rehab, if you will, and then 5 days a week, 5 evenings a week, I'll say I train hard. Different muscle groups, different. I call it push pull. I don't really call it chest back. I don't like to do that. I'm more of like an athlete oriented trainer. So yeah, I assign directions and then I hit them. But yeah, I'm in here training at least 5 days a week. I'm in here 7. Practice on Sundays. Clockwork.
Well, it sounds like stamina shouldn't be an issue. You're pulling quite a bit, working pretty
Oh
hard.
yeah, I've been doing it, man. For 8 years, for almost. Let's see, I've been with Carolina Chaos for a little over 4 years, but I've been training for like eight and a half. So
So,
yeah.
have they mentioned anything about a tiebreaker for if any of you guys are, you know, leveled out? Because it could be quite a cluster.
No, but I'm glad you said that, and I hope they go over that because I believe that happened. It did happen in the 154-pound round robin, and they kind of were like, "Okay, well, how do you guys want to settle it? Do you want to do a single match, a best of 3?" So, yeah, those are definitely some things that need to be established. I haven't heard anything yet, or maybe I don't know. They could have said something on that group chat, but I mean, I'm not really on social media a lot, so I don't know. But I hope that's established. Definitely something I'll be asking about. I'm sure everybody will be curious. But no. And matter of fact, there could be a lot of like 3-way ties or there might be a lot of people with 1 or 2 losses that, it kind of needs to be, especially when there's money being paid out. You really need a true first, second, third, fourth, fifth,
Mm-hmm.
sixth. You can't have, I mean, if there wasn't any money, like, okay, you have a tie for second, a 3-way for third, whatever. But when there's money being paid out, yeah, you gotta have a true lineup.
Well, I know you said that you're not taking anybody lightly at all, and of course that's going to be the case. But is there anybody in particular that you're worried about per se, or that you have a specific game plan for because you're focused on anybody in particular?
Um, hmm. Well, I mean, Robbie has always been. He and I have just. We've always been in dogfights, so I can't expect anything less this time around. Definitely worried about Craig. Just his style and how explosive he is, and with him being match 2 for me. Yeah, definitely worried about Craig. And then other than that, Bob Brown is interesting. He's interesting because he's really confident right now, and I don't know. He's one of those guys where, like a year ago, I'd have been like, "All right, man, I'm not Bob. If you're watching, I'm not knocking you here. I'm trying to compliment you, but like a year ago, I would have been like, okay, but then you starting to see him pull more and more and more, and I'm like, what am I going to do when it comes to get to him? You know what I mean? Artem, another big one. He's probably the one that is impressing me the most overall. He just seems to be, he's so active. He's so active. I see him pull all the time. And I don't know what he's eating, but he's getting huge. He's just like, or maybe he's just he's a really good camera guy. So maybe it is just the cameras. I don't know. But he's just like, every time he posts something I see, he's just like this. I'm like, dude, what are you eating? Like, is the soil different in Florida? Like, I don't know. Like, I want some of that. I want to eat some, I don't know, whatever food you're eating, man. It's like, it's crazy. He's getting huge. So, yeah. And again, like, he's just been so versatile. I've seen him get some really good wins recently and do some really impressive things in tournaments. So it's like when you see that size and that growth correlate with skill, that's where a really dangerous arm wrestler comes into play.
I'm surprised you guys have never met up. You're not too far away from each other, right?
No, we're not.
Overall.
I've pulled him, like when I pulled Brent, I after pulled with him, and I could just toy with him. That was 2 years ago. Artem's getting better every single day, and he ain't even. That guy, he ate that guy, digested him, spit him out, and then ate him again. Like, he's not even close. I'm not even thinking about like those times that I've seen him on an after table, because after table doesn't mean anything anyways, but he really ain't even the same guy, so. And I've seen what he's done. I've seen what he's done, and I've seen who he's beat, and yeah, definitely worried about him.
You got him real late, so it'll be interesting to see.
I like that, because I'll be fresh as a daisy, and he might too, but I'll be nice and warmed up at least. So at least for me, I like it. I don't care. He might be fresh too. I don't know, but I'll be good. I'll be great.
Well, it sounds like it. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I don't want to keep you all night. I wish you the very best in the event. I can't wait to see you in action, man, especially against all these monsters. So I do personally feel that you are like one of the favorites, definitely. You and Jason, honestly, I think. And I don't know, at least a lock for the money, for sure. I hope I'm not jinxing you, but I expect you to put on a show, and I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and having me on. Thank you for the kind words. I'll be bringing my best version of myself, and you'll see the Warzone in action in 12 days.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you. That's it.
Sure.
I guess another Armfighter report in the books. Remember, armfighter.com, America's best event calendar and the official U.S. rankings. Stay strong, everyone.